My name is Marlene A. Lange, and I started putting the quilt together mid-December 2007, knowing that I had a May 4th, 2008 deadline for the Holocaust Remembrance Day. And I wanted to be able to take my time and carefully assemble every square in a way that people would be proud to see it in a quilt. And thankfully, we're going to meet that deadline.
I knew what I wanted to do right away as soon as my friend told me about this. I wanted to use photos of family members that I never met, that never came to this country, and we have no idea what happened to them during the Holocaust.
My name is Bent Lerno. I was born in Denmark in 1927, making me 81 years old today. In September of 1943, we were warned by the rabbi in Denmark to tell all Jews, as many as possible, to go underground, hide in hospitals, hide wherever you can. That was the night my mother was taken by the Germans. October 5th, my father and my brother and I escaped to Sweden.
A few years ago, we got a box in the mail from the Holocaust Museum based in Washington, and it was a list of all the survivors that they have. One day, it was a few years later, my husband picked up this book out of the shelf. There are so many other books in our library, and he picked it up and he happened to flip, not happened, we believe everything happens for a reason, to H, and he found Hildesheim Benjamin, Hildesheim Paula. We have no idea if they were husband and wife or brother and sister, but definitely, in my heart of hearts, I know that they must be relatives.
The squares were cut by my two 17-year-old twins, so it became very much a family project.
Well, we started off with the blue patch that they sent us. There was some pearl work on there, and also a photo of my mom and dad, which we had transferred on the fabric, and a few words briefly describing what took place at that time. In loving memory of our parents, Eric and Edith Shifton escaped Germany in 1939 and fled to Shanghai, arrived in the USA in 1947. The border consists of red ribbon to enhance the photo. Also a pearl-like sprig flower, you might say.
Actually, to be very honest with you, it's soft and it's gentle, and that is how our mother was. She was amazing, and we just looked at it and said, let's put that on there. It's a feeling.
I immediately felt like I needed to have photos of the people who were gone in this quilt so that they would be remembered, so they would be seen. And my parents, who are now gone, who have since died, I wanted them to be remembered, not to be lost.
My grandmother, Hannah Pakempner, was killed by the Lithuanians. On the night of October 16, 1942, they assembled the entire population of her city, Ponjevež. After making them dig trenches, they machine-gunned 7,523 Jews. Every time I typed out this paragraph or resized it, I was working on it with my son on the computer, I thought that I would be desensitized the more I read it. But it didn't work that way. This little old lady, 7,523 Jews shot into ditches. It boggles my mind.
There were only a dozen, I should say only, there were a dozen concentration camps, but there were 300 ghettos scattered all over Europe, okay? Now, Poland had the most ghettos because half of the Jewish population at that time was in Poland. okay? And of the 3 million, only 100,000 Polish people, Polish Jews survived.
I'm Ann Spicer, and I was born in Poland. Of all pictures that I had, I felt that it was important to tell the story of my brother-in-law, who was at the time of the war, was 7 years old. And one day, the German noticed him, and he shot him in the head. Right here, the bullet turned up in the neck. He ran, he was bleeding profusely. He ran into the woods and met his brother, and the brother had no bandages or anything. He took mud, wet mud. He put it on his forehead to stop the bleeding, and he lived this way 3 months until the Russians came and they freed the city. They liberated the city. My husband took him right away to a hospital. They cleaned it out, and he had a scar here and a scar on the neck. Never spoke about it. He never spoke of why he had the scar on his forehead.
I believe that every survivor's story is amazing and remarkable, because to have survived is a remarkable and amazing thing. I think we first met about 5 years ago, and she has taken her story and her experience and put it to a purpose that affects all peoples everywhere, to bring attention to genocide and suffering where it occurs, to help bring an end to it, as well as to tell the story of her own survival and the survival of the Jews after World War II. And it is a remarkable thing to witness, and it's a remarkable thing to share her friendship.
My name is Renee Firestone. Originally, I come from Czechoslovakia. I'm a Holocaust survivor. And I made this quilt for my little sister who died in Auschwitz, who actually was killed in Auschwitz. Clara was experimented on and then killed. My daughter Clara is named after my sister Clara, so I made this quilt in her honor.
My name is Daniel Seco. I'm 13 and I'm from Thousand Oaks, California.
And I'm Andrew Seco and I'm 11. I wrote the words and he drew the candle.
To see a survivor, it kind of gives me hope, because even though the Holocaust was such a terrible thing, people survived. And there's that saying, if there's a will, there's a way. And I guarantee there was some major willpower going on over there, you know.
Let me tell you, the very first night when we, after a long day, finally we were allowed to get into the barrack. 1,000 women in a barrack. And of course, we were exhausted and hungry, and we just wanted to sleep. Yeah, I was wrapped around my arms with my little sister, and we were trying to fall asleep, hoping somehow that maybe when we wake up, we'll find out that this is just a nightmare. And as we were trying to fall asleep, a voice from another bunk reached us. A woman was singing the Yiddish Mama, the Jewish mother. And we fell asleep crying. And when we woke up next morning to the whistle of the capo, we realized that we are in hell.
My Yiddish Mama, I need her more than ever now. My Yiddish Mama, I'd love to kiss that wrinkled brow.
I have to say today I cheated Hitler. The truth is, a day before I was liberated, I knew tomorrow is my day, that I am the next to die. It was no ifs. So it's a miracle that I survived, and it is a miracle.
My name is Erin Zucker. I'm from Thousand Oaks, California, and I'm 15 and a half.
They just mentioned to all the kids, I think the older kids, that there was a quilt that they were making, and if they wanted to participate and make a square. I asked my daughter, and she said, of course.
Just the people who wanted to take a quilt square got one, and surprisingly there weren't that many. So I guess it was just the kids that it really meant something to them.
Originally, I was born in Czechoslovakia. My hometown was occupied during the war by the Hungarians, and actually we were taken away to Auschwitz from Hungary those days in 1944.
I probably didn't hear anything about it till I was like 11 or 12. It wasn't that long ago, and I didn't really hear her story until like I was like 13 or 14.
I was in 19 and my brother was a year older and my father was roughly 40, 42, 41, you know. And the worst part was really when they took us on a death march. We had no idea up to date where was I, what, from death march, and was no food, simple as that. And everywhere just people dropped dead, including my father, just on the death march.
The flame symbolizes like the people's like spirits and just the remembrance of them just like continuing on.
Yes, it's simple, but to me, it's meaningful.
It said it all.
It's a really big honor to have my grandpa here because he's like a really strong and brave person, and he's really nice and generous, and it's just great to have him. And life would be a whole lot different without him.
I am so grateful that this project exists and has given all of us an opportunity to memorialize people, many of whom, there is no memorial for this family anywhere. There's no wall, their name's not carved on anything. You know, it's all in the vanished past. And I thank you for this.
The whole is much greater than the sum of its parts. It really is an amazing piece of work.
Somehow I thought my quilt square would be the most powerful one. A picture of my mother's passport from Germany, because it has a red J on it. It's specifically for a child. It names her. It has her first name, middle name, which I don't know that I knew that her middle name was Sarah.
As Sarah was given by Hitler, to all Jewish girls.
Oh, okay. That I didn't know. That I didn't know. And actually, I didn't see any square that wasn't extremely powerful.
My hope for the quilt is that it will be a lasting remembrance of the individuals, a lasting remembrance of the entire Holocaust event, but that it also will have a proactive benefit on future generations who didn't grow up with the Holocaust survivors like I did, who didn't grow up with the people who had tattooed numbers in their arms, or people who could not talk about their sister reaching age 30 because their sister died at age 22.
That was in 1941, so I was 6 years old when we escaped the ghetto. A week later, the ghetto was eliminated. Everybody in the ghetto was killed.
I can see the quilt as a teacher being a tremendous teaching tool. I mean, I would love to show it to my classes.
I have one daughter, one granddaughter, and 3 great-grandchildren.
Don't step on my lines. You do it every time. You have one daughter. That's what he asked you. That was the question.
Okay.
Okay?
I have one daughter.
I have one daughter. She now has one daughter. So we got our revenge.